औज़ुबिल्लाहिमिनश्शैतानिर्रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम रब्बि इश्रह ली सदरी वयस्सिर ली अमरी वहलुल उक़दतम मिन लिसानी यफ़क़हू क़ौली सदक़ल्लाहुल अज़ीम. Honorable Zohur Buledi Saab, Minister for Planning and Development, worthy Chief Secretary Shakil Qadir Khan Saab, distinguished development partners, fellow colleagues, secretaries, members of the Parliament, representatives from different embassies, colleagues from the federal government, civil society organizations, beautiful kids who just performed, ladies and gentlemen, and representatives from the media, Assalamu alaikum. At the very outset, I just want to welcome you all and thank you for being here with us this morning. This is not just a consultation where we are going to review departmental or sectoral performance. This consultation session is going to unearth the structural imbalance that has persisted for decades. That's where Balochistan is often reckoned as far below the national averages. But we can't understand, trust me, we can't understand Balochistan unless we understand the structure where Balochistan exists. Geographically, is the largest province of Pakistan. About half of the landmass of this country. With scattered settlements, difficult terrain, high development cost, and very low of the late fiscal space. However, at the same time, demographically, it is the youngest province. About half of its population is below the age of 15. Now, this demographic reality is not neutral, unfortunately. It's very, very decisive. If we arrest it today, we tap and unlock the potential, productivity, and economic growth. And if we do not, we unfortunately institutionalize dependency. This demographic pressure is further compounded by poverty. In terms of multi-dimensional poverty, Balochistan ranks the highest, over 65%. And if we compare with the national average and with the other provinces, the scale is humongous. We find that there is no marginal variation, but instead there is structured dependence. And this poverty does not come alone. It's just not an economic construct or an economic indicator. It has a multiplier effect. It restricts and drives educational outcomes away from us. It deepens malnutrition. It restricts healthcare access. These all are interconnected. And when we say interconnected, nowhere this nexus is more paramount than restriction in education sector. Pakistan today faces a humongous challenge of out-of-school children. In Punjab alone, the percentage is around 27%. Sindh, 44%. KP, 34%. And we in Balochistan, it's around 60%. Yet again, when we compare, there is not just marginal gap, there is systematic exclusion. When 7 out of 10 school-going kids are not having access to formal education system, it's not just the issue of infrastructure. It has got to do something with outreach mechanism, with sustained and accelerated pathways, how we deliver services. And ladies and gentlemen, this is where the government of Balochistan reopened 3,800 schools. We recruited over 14,000 teachers to arrest this trend. But at the same time, we do realize enrollment alone is insufficient. It must translate into learning. And learning is fundamentally dependent upon health. In terms of universal health coverage index, Balochistan is around at 39, whereas the national average is exceeding 54. And this gap is more paramount when we see maternal and child health indicators. In terms of full immunization, we are just touching 47-48%, whereas the national average is 84%. Skilled birth attendant, we are at 55%, and the national average is 69%. These are not just abstract numbers, and if we dig deep, these are preventable mortalities and avoidable sufferings. And then health alone. If we analyze, health inequity is directly related with nutrition. Stunting rates in Pakistan, around 40%. In Balochistan, around 47-48%. Half of our children suffer chronic malnutrition. Then stunting compounds problems. It arrests cognitive development, restricts educational outcomes, and does adversely affect long-term abilities to earn. All these interrelated problems are compounded. However, this challenge has been realized by the government of Balochistan. And it's where our focus has been shifted from stabilization to structured reforms. We have reopened schools, massively invested in education cadres, reinforced frontline healthcare initiatives, and institutionalized robust social protection system in Balochistan. But at the same time, we also realize that it's not enough, because restoration does not translate into transformation. Transformation demands integration. It requires unified social protection registries. It demands coordinated planning amongst departments. It requires data-driven governance, because households and communities, they do not gauge governments across fragmented departments. They gauge government and their outcomes around impacts. And it is where the government of Balochistan this year has come up with a budget of over 1 trillion PKR. This strategic shift is further amplified by a very robust foreign aid portfolio of over 800 million USD across 33 projects, wherein around 360 million USD refer to the grants and rest is loans. This robust portfolio is not only financial inflows, it demonstrates your vote of confidence in our reform initiative. And also at the same time, an accountability contract where every dollar spent must translate into increased and improved learning, healthcare outcomes, improved nutritional standards, and resilience. Ladies and gentlemen, Balochistan today is at the convergence of pressures. Rising poverty, growing young population, extreme climatic vulnerability, and water scarcity. It's these pressures that this consultation must think about and come up with at least 3 decisive transitions. Transition from access to outcome, transition from fragmentation to integration, and transition from relief to resilience. Dear audience, let me conclude clearly. Balochistan is not asking for exception. What we are asking is a proportionate response. A province with highest poverty indicators, highest education exclusion, lowest healthcare coverage, extreme climatic vulnerability, and carrying at the same time over 50% of this country's landmass, demands response which is proportionate to the challenge. Investing in Balochistan is not just peripheral spending, trust me. It's a national strategy. If we decide today, the human capital of Pakistan is going to strengthen, and long-term stability is going to be ensured. Through this consultation, let us all decide that we move away from over-analysis to strategic realignment and from alignment to action. At the end, I once again thank you all for being here, for your patient hearing, and I encourage you to please actively participate during the rest of the day. Thank you and Assalamu alaikum.